Hello, everybody. Matt Fresh here, coming at you with another brutally honest game review. And today, it's a very exciting game. It's Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I know, 2 brand new Sonic games in the same year, just months apart. And that's pretty special. And if you're a Sonic fan and you're used to maybe one game every couple of years, this is what a time to be alive. Now, as always, I'm going to give you my score ahead of time, and it's going to be disappointing to Sonic fans. Unfortunately, I'm going to give Sonic the Hedgehog 3 a 4 out of 10. That's right. I know it's not what many of you wanted. I know, especially coming off the high of Sonic X Shadow Generations, but it's a really unfortunate situation. But Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is just really, really, really terrible. Just a terrible excuse for a video game, really. But with that in mind, make sure you don't just hit, spin dash that like and subscribe button, and let's get into it. Now, I was so disappointed. I'm a huge Sonic fan, and this was just heartbreaking to me. I was so excited. Sonic the Hedgehog 3, I'm like, yes, finally, we're going to get a proper sequel to the original Sonic the Hedgehog 2. You know, we've got all these sub-series and new series, you know, the Sonic Booms, the Sonic Unleashed, right? The Sonic CD, whatever. Finally, we're going back. We're getting a new sequel to Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And I was very excited. It's going to be new. It's going to be fresh. All these other things. And you know, and it was a very exclusive. This was a very exclusive thing. I'm like, okay, clearly, you know, this is like a special game. Sega's really locking it down tight. You know, they're not giving. They didn't even give me a review code. They made me go to this special building. Okay, I had to drive 15 minutes to this big building and then go in. I had to pay like $15. Okay. Luckily, they also had food there, but that was also paid. I had to pay like $22 for a bucket of popcorn and a drink to have a gaming snack. And, you know, they're like, come this way. And they sit us all down, all these critics, in this big room with this giant screen. I'm like, oh, we're all gonna play this game? And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, is this multiplayer? Like, what's going on here? There's so many. There's like, you know, 50 people in this theater that we're all going to play this game at once. But you know, that's fine with me. Like, I'm going to take turns, whatever. I was a little confused because, again, I don't know, a 50-player Sonic game, what's that about? But, you know, the opportunity to play a Sonic game on such a giant screen was like, oh, this is a great experience. You know, Sega is really going all out with this game launch. And then it starts, you know, the Sega logo comes up, oh, the opening cutscene starts, I'm really pumped, you know, I'm getting into it, you know, and it's setting up the story of the game, but then it kept going, and going, and going. And, you know, listen, I've played Yakuza games, so I'm used to, like, the opening cinematic of a game taking seemingly an infinite amount of time before you're actually allowed to play the game. But this is like a critic event, a paid for critic event. So I would assume that at some point Sega would be like, okay, that, you know, even if it is a really long opening cutscene, I would assume that Sega would be like, okay, well, that's just a taste, and now here's some gameplay you can try, you know, so you can review the game. But this cutscene just keeps going and going, you know, and it sets everything up, and I'm like, okay. And then it keeps going and going. I'm like, okay, this doesn't seem like setup anymore. This seems like an act 2 of something. And it keeps going and going and going, and then it reaches a climax, and I'm like, okay, this is a weird opening cutscene, because you wouldn't think the opening cutscene of a video game would have a beginning, middle, and end. Usually it's, you know, the beginning, and then you start the game, and then later on there's the middle. And then later on, there's the end, and it's the final boss, and you beat the game. But no, this cutscene had a beginning, middle, end, and then all of a sudden, credits. 90 minutes go by, credits. And then they escort us out of the building. So, all this hype, you know, all this hype, all this excitement just completely dead. I was so excited for this new Sonic the Hedgehog game, and the whole thing is just a cutscene. It's not even, there's no interactivity at all. It's not even a visual novel. Not even a single QuickTime event. Just nothing. They didn't even give us a controller. Just baffling. Really baffling. And, at first I was like, well, maybe, there's 50 people in this room. Maybe the controller's being passed around. No, there was no controller. Nobody had a controller. I asked a couple people. I was like, hey, man, did anybody give you a controller to play? Or was that just a cutscene? And he kind of looked at me strange, like, why would I ask about a controller? I guess other people knew that this was just, like, a cutscene? But, that's so disappointing. This isn't Metal Gear. I play Sonic the Hedgehog for the gameplay, not the cutscenes. Now, don't get me wrong, the graphics in the game are incredible. And, I actually think it's pretty wild that Sonic the Hedgehog is now borrowing a few tricks from Alan Wake, incorporating live action footage into the game, into the cutscenes. That's pretty cool. But still, I want to play Sonic. I don't want to watch Sonic, So yeah, the story of this game is, quote-unquote game, is good, right? It was interesting. I was invested, There's some laughs, there's good action, there's a little heart to it. The performances are good. The graphics are incredible. Sonic has never looked so lifelike. Okay, and again, it's fully blended seamlessly with live action video, much like Alan Wake 2. Frankly, honestly, the integration of live action video is a little better in this than it was in Alan Wake 2. Not a lot better, but a little bit better. But again, Alan Wake 2 still had gameplay. And that was a more story-focused game than Sonic has ever been. So, what the fuck is this bullshit? There's just no game here, right? It's a cutscene. It's a very good cutscene, but it's just a 90-minute cutscene. Just no game whatsoever. Again, I've played walking simulators with more gameplay than this. I'm just completely baffled. I know Sonic series has always taken some turns, and they've done the racing genre, they've done a Mario Party clone, there's a Sonic Fighters game, there's a Sonic RPG. Sonic has always been good at, mixing things up, more so than even Mario. But this is just too far, and this is just too far of a ridiculous direction, Again, there is a Sonic visual novel, and that has more gameplay than this, because that, at least, you're clicking things and making decisions. This doesn't even have QuickTime events for you to press to succeed or fail the cutscene. It's just a 90-minute cutscene, and then it's over. So I don't know if this was some prank by Sega. I don't know if this was just some sick, twisted marketing ploy to make us hype up the game and be like, oh, this 90-minute intro cinematic is so cool, we'll have to get the game. But this is just ridiculous. And this is a new low for Sega. Okay, again, this is an incredible cutscene, an amazing tech demo for, I don't know, the Dreamcast 2 or whatever. But just as a game, this is atrocious. This is a worse video game than Sonic 06. Sonic 06 was a terrible game that never worked, but it was at least a game. I don't know what this is. This is nothing. I'm so disappointed. I don't know whose idea it was to greenlight this. I don't know whose brilliant idea. Let's make a Sonic game with no gameplay whatsoever. But whoever thought of that idea should be fired from a cannon, and whoever greenlit that idea should be thrown off a cliff. I can't believe it. I can't believe what they've done to my precious Hedgehog. Okay? Again, Sonic gameplay is so fun. When Sonic gameplay works, it really works. And we know this because just a couple months ago, it was Sonic X Shadow Generations. It was an immaculate experience, It's fun to go fast. It's fun to zip through these levels and get better time, I know Sonic is all about speed running, but a 90-minute cutscene is not the way to make a speed run game when you just sit and do nothing for 90 minutes. Oh, I beat the game in 90 minutes because I speed ran it because I didn't have to do anything. That's just lame. Okay, this whole thing is just lame, and I really hope that this is not the direction that Sega goes from this point forward in the series. It's just pathetic, okay? You do better, Sega. Do better.